thank you, sir, for that information, and turn around, do an about face, and go right back to my slave shack until I hear from him again. But in the meantime, make my own plan in case he changes his mind. But as far as standing there having a debate on it, like a lot of black people have a tendency to do, codification has taught me that's not necessary. See, it's simply not necessary. Master was making an announcement. Master's in position to carry through on his announcement. So it doesn't call for a debate on my part or a comment or an editorial. The closest thing I made to an editorial was say thank you. Thank you for the information. Because that's all that I got so far was information about an intention. So it doesn't call for a parade. It doesn't call for ridicule. It doesn't call for anything except just a simple thank you. And then go back to business as usual until Master makes whatever he said he was going to do. In other words, do it. Then I'll know that it's done. Because you are in position to do it, because you are the boss of the plantation. If you don't want a slave plantation, you can take care of this at any time without even telling me that that's what you did. But if you chose to do that, just as the sake of giving me information, I'll accept the information and I'll thank you for the information. But I'm not counting on it. Not for 1 second. Ever.
Correct.
That's codified procedure.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to give one last example. I was watching something this weekend on C-SPAN about, they had Mr. Cohen, Langhart Cohen, former defense minister, white male, and he had a non-white partner with him. And they were talking about the economics of what racism is costing the system of white supremacy. And my question is, isn't it more effective to sell, instead of saying our better angels or saying things like our brother's keeper and things like that, those things don't really, they're a hard sell, like you said before. There was a gentleman there talking about the opportunity costs, what racism is costing, in the frame of America. That is the only way to reach average white people. What is racism is costing? Because people don't care about, they care about their pocketbooks and their own lives. So my question would be, isn't it more effective to use strategies like that? This is just one white person that said, for example, that Brazil and their non-white population, the black people of Brazil, that if they were just incorporated into the economy, that the GDP or the gross domestic product would increase by 2%. So that seems to me a more effective way of reaching people instead of all the feelings and the emotions. I think that it's easier to hit home with saying the cost, the opportunity cost of not solving the race problem.
The opportunity cost of not solving the race problem is costing who?
It's costing white people and non-white people alike, but emphasizing what it's costing white people. For those that may not understand just the opportunity cost economically, those that are concerned with economics. But like you said, they already probably know that.
Hold it right there. You said something very important. Repeat that again.
Well, answer my own question. That the white people already know what the opportunity cost is.
No. The white supremacists already know.
The white supremacists already knows.
Already know what the cost of running the system of white supremacy is.
Okay, but I was just pointing out one white person that was saying, look, this is costing us financially.
Mm-hmm.
Because
now that's one white person talking to whom?
Talking to another group of white people. It was a little conference. It was.
Oh, okay, yes. And now, what does that say to you?
There needs to be more people saying that and acting upon it.
Mm-hmm. Now, more what people?
More white people. But
yes.
That's the point of the point is it's for white people. The conference is for white people, and that's the hope. It seems
and
like
that's what you have observed.
Correct. It seemed like a constructive conference.
Right. Okay. Now, codification is about when you observe that, what do you do?
Just to continue to try to practice codification, but I cannot help but observe what was going on. That does not mean that I changed what I'm doing. It just simply meant that I was just observing a group of white people because it was interesting to see if anything would be acted upon in there, and I thought that was a good approach, is to focus on the cost of practicing racism economically and otherwise to average white people, because the powerful white people already know this, but to average white people to maybe mobilize, if they're interested in ending white supremacy, it may give them some motivation to stop this practice and show them that there's something better.
Okay. So that was an interesting observation.
Mr. Fuller, I have a couple of questions in the chat room that people want to ask you.
Proceed.
Okay. One question is, they want to know, do you believe that non-whites are trained to ignore and accept their own mistreatment? And the other question is, do you have a think tank or a logic exercise? Do you have a way to push this into the front of non-white conferences or closed meetings with so-called leaders in non-white communities?
The answer is no.
Okay.
To the last part of the question. Now, think tank, I'd have to understand what you meant by think tank when you start talking about counter-racism. A think tank, according to counter-racist logic, is any black person at any time who is thinking about doing something constructively. That's a think tank. Now, secret meetings or closed meetings, no. For a very practical reason. Under the system of white supremacy, there's no need for non-white people to have secrets. That's number one. Number two is, if they have them, they won't be able to keep them anyway. But the first thing you look at, there's no need for a secret. The white supremacists need secrets. The white supremacists need closed meetings because they are subversive. They are trying to mistreat someone. You don't have to have closed meetings when you're not trying to mistreat anybody, ever.
Well, some people think that if non-whites get together and they try to strategize, that the white supremacy will listen and then they will put blocks up so they won't make any progress.
Now, so the question would be, how can you counteract that? Is that correct?
Yes.
How you counteract that is that every black person, every non-white person is codified through following logic. All codification is that you follow logic and you follow it every day on your own. Black people have been taught that you can't get anything done unless you get a whole bunch of black people in a coliseum or in a cage or in a building with four walls. I call it four-wallism. And then you walk around and count how many black people are present. And then everybody says, ooh, ah, this is wonderful. Now we have all the black people together. And now we have finally made it, and we can get something done. All that really means is that you have a crowd of black people in one place at one time, and that's all that it means. But when you have each and every black person following logic in every circumstance, wherever they happen to be, even if it's just one black person in a whole sea of thousands of white people, and there's only one black person present, that black person doesn't have to look over his shoulder to see where the rest of the black people are. That black person knows how to function, knows what to say and what to do and how to say it and how to do it. That's the one missing link in all of this long journey that we have been on trying to solve this problem, is that the individual person is always looking around for a crowd before he or she can really get into a feeling that something is being accomplished, because that's really what they're looking for, a feeling that something is being accomplished. When if each person is codified, what do I mean by codification? I've talked about codification all this time, but I haven't really described how that works. Codification is thought, speech, and action. You know exactly what to say in every circumstance that you're in. We've never had anything like that. If it calls for you to say something, you know exactly what to say. And even before you say it, you know what the result's going to be. Even before you say it, you know what the result is going to be. And under every circumstance, as an individual, we're talking about individuals, that's why it's called United Independent, without looking over your shoulder to see who else is coming to back you up. You always assume nobody's coming to back you up because logic is going to back you up. What do you think the people who are going to come to back you up are going to bring if it's not logic? So you can have logic yourself. That's something that we have never even thought of. We have never even thought of that, not to say anything about trying to carry it out. We have always, and this comes up in every discussion, in every seminar that I've ever attended, when are we going to get together? Without anybody describing, what do you mean by get together? You mean one black person looking at another? Because that's what you're talking about when you find at the end of the day. And I think we got that from slavery time, that the master will say, now, you all have to work in different parts of the field because the field is big. So you'll have one person over there loading the wagon and another person way over there halfway across the field picking the cotton. And then you'll have another person over there plowing. And then another person, a half a mile across the field doing something else. So black people in that situation, when master would say, okay, quitting time, then we'd all go down by the river and we would what you call get together. But we need to look at that term, get together, get together, get together, get together. And that's a comfort zone that has no validity whatsoever. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't mean anything except for just a bunch of black people down by the riverside looking at each other. And we call that getting together, and what is even more dangerous, we call that problem solving. When problems are solved by a number of individuals knowing what to do in every circumstance, we have never collectively had that idea because the white supremacists have taken that idea completely out of our heads. We don't think that anything meaningful is happening unless we're looking around and seeing thousands of black people surrounding us, and we are right in the middle of them. Now we think that great accomplishments are being made.